Hello and welcome to the Happy Hour Hustle podcast with our host, Kim Bodie.
I am absolutely thrilled to be chatting with you.
Principal and fearless leader of 834 Integrated Communication. On this podcast, you're going to learn a lot about a lot, like public relations, marketing, digital, and advertising.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Forgive us if you hear some dogs in the background. We are obsessed with them, and there is a medium-sized pack at the office at all times.
Fantastic.
So grab a glass of wine, preferably one with ice in it, and learn a little something today.
All right, hustlers, welcome back. It's been a while since we've been chatting with you here on the Happy Hour Hustle. We are surrounded by dogs and booze and
the fall vibes.
Yeah, the fall vibes. Lots of fall vibes. Although we're going to move into Christmas here pretty quick because we get very excited about that. So, anyway, we're coming back with a rager. There's a pun there. That was a dog sneeze. Thanks, Joey. We're actually going to be talking about the power of female rage today, which is very prevalent always because we are the majority women. Yes. There's one male here. Poor Jeffrey. Okay, so this is something that we actually talk about quite often here. I forgot to even introduce Emma. Emma's here.
Hey.
Hey, Emma. Emma's here because she's our resident Swiftie expert.
I'm nodding. I'm nodding along.
Yeah, because we can all see. And this plays into the overall topic, which we'll get into. We wrote this blog. It was probably a few weeks ago, so please go to 834.com and read it because it is actually a really great blog. And it's not just us ranting and raving, although we do that quite well. This actually talks about, the power that's behind female rage.
And ranting can be informational as well.
Yes.
And it is.
Yeah, it is. We know lots of men that do it and are somehow listened to. We actually are going to back it up with statistics, some figures, some solid examples, a case study or two, perhaps a white paper, but all things that are actually make this a relevant topic. Okay, so we wrote this a couple weeks ago because it was right when Coco Gauff won the U.S. World Open. The U.S. Open, everybody was like downing her. She had a lot of naysayers. Then we also were dealing with T-Swift taking over the entire economy. We were dealing with
Sophie Turner
and Joe Jonas and the narrative that was being built around her as a bad mother by the media. Well, they tried at least. And then it was the World Cup. And the Spanish team winning, and then how that was overshadowed by an asshole of a man who happened to be the president of the soccer league. So we started thinking about this because one of the things that we realized is a lot of times like women get turned against, and we started to see that the coverage for Coco, even the coverage for Sophie, the women were starting to stand up and be like, nope, we're not here for that. That's not what happened.
We know what you're doing.
Yep, we know what you're doing. People came out to support Coco. People came out to support Sophie and say like, we are not accepting that narrative. There's nothing to back that up. Like, screw you. You're not going to paint us as bad mothers and partiers and whatever else that you feel like calling us. And then the whole thing with Jenny Hermoso with the World Cup was, obviously we won't explain the situation, go Google it, but it was awful. And she was put in a very uncomfortable situation. And she came out the next day with a statement that said, I do not accept this. It was wrong. It shouldn't have happened. And I will not play until this individual is removed. And then the entire women's team also came out and said that they would not. And then we got into people just from all over, whether it was celebrities or other, sports figures. They all started saying like, no, we're like this. We fully support this. So it's interesting because that is not usually how it goes. And we felt like, well, maybe, just maybe, the paradigm is shifting a little bit. And so is our representation changing in the media?
Honestly, I feel like there are a lot of pivotal moments all the time, right? But this, even hearing it back, I'm like, no, I do feel like we were collectively like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Like no one was kind of playing into it. unless you were the people who
Yeah.
who benefit from it being played into. Which brings us here today.
And I think we've been really angry for a long time, and 2016 maybe sent us a little bit over the edge. Like, it's a rage storm.
Yes, and with these...
Joey, come here. Sit down. Was that still recording?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
Okay, what's that? I think it's
All right, yeah, it's fine. I mean, everybody knows that was Joey, and Joey's our Dick resident Doberman. Also a female and also angry. See what I did there? I tied it all back together.
It's true.
What were you saying, Emma? Do you remember, or do you want me to drop some statistics on you?
I want those statistics.
Okay, so this is what I found very interesting. So according to Bankrate, over 80% of purchases and purchase influence are made by women, which makes sense because we do everything. Women make 91% of new home purchases. Female borrowers, that's a hard word to say. I was like, bow wow. Borrowers have an average debt 9.6% higher than male students 1 year after graduation. 66% of consumer wealth will belong to women in the next decade. I'm going to repeat that. 66% of consumer wealth will belong to women in the next decade. That means we're going to control the money, and money talks. And I think that we've had just about enough.
Yes.
And since we have the power, it's about time we started entering into those positions of power and really being heard. I like to say the future is female and the future is now, but really we're just kind of getting started and we're working through that. But this goes into our favorite, Taylor. So I want to talk a little bit about that because first of all, one of the other things we mentioned, Barbie being the highest grossing movie, is beat out superhero movies. If that right there doesn't say and it's a movie that's about misogyny and, being a female and feminism and
Told by women.
Yes, told by women. Greta, we bow to you.
Love.
And so the fact that that's one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and then we've got Taylor Swift breaking records right and left. You've got some stats for me there, and then we've got Beyonce who's also crushing it, and it's just like everything that's happening in this world where we're topping charts is being led by women.
Yes. And when we do, men are upset.
So angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Grinds their gears.
Yeah.
But yes, to get into some of the Taylor Swift of it all.
Yes, please.
So yes, she's rumored to be in a relationship with Travis Kelce. Have you heard of him? Do we know who he is?
I didn't know who he was before her, but yes.
Oh, well, yes. Now
He does have actually a really great podcast with his brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
You already know my For You page is filled with those clips now because I'm part of the demographic that's being targeted to enjoy football.
Obviously.
We're here for it because Taylor is.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, it's important to say that viewership among teen girls from 12 to 17 spiked 53% above the average during the first 3 weeks of Sunday Night Football.
What?
Isn't that nuts?
I know, and there are so many men that are mad that women are now watching football. Isn't that hilarious? They've been begging us for years to watch it, which, by the way, I do really enjoy football. But I love that the NFL should be happy that they're getting a whole new, viewership.
Yes.
A whole new audience.
Exactly. And people who are honestly kind of enthusiastic about it, I want to say. I won't say all the Swifties are jumping for joy, but a lot of them are into learning what the game's about and all of the fun that goes with it. But on that note, I saw on Monday night there was an advertisement in a stadium, and all of the men, it was for Taylor's new movie, the Eras Tour.
We'll get into that in a second too.
But her advertisement came up and they were all booing her, and it was predominantly men.
Of course they
And
were.
I was saying to my roommate, isn't it funny that the second a woman, no matter, because, okay, sorry, this is going to be a ramble, but I feel like you look at Taylor Swift, who's still conventionally attractive and beautiful, but because she's dominating the charts, dominating globally, financially, all of these things, she's not viewed as desirable to a man. Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, because she's strong.
Yes.
She's a strong female. She's one hell of an entrepreneur. I mean, not to jump ahead, but just go to her releasing her Eras movie. She went to actually the major studios, and they were like, this under these conditions, and she said, "I'm Taylor Swift, bitch." No. I will do this how I want to do it, and you're not going to control. I was going to allow you to be a part of this. And so she went straight to the studios, the movie studios, which is absolutely bonkers. And in fact, did Beyonce do that before too?
I don't know if she did.
I think
she
so.
followed suit with this one.
I think she did do it before. Either way,
Yeah.
like the point in all of this is like that Taylor was like, all of us right now are saying, us women are saying, you know what, there are too many people determining our path that are male. So we're going to figure out our own way of doing it, and we're going to set our own path. In fact, that's how 834 was founded. 17 years ago, I was like, if my career trajectory is reliant on the opposite sex, I will never be where I want to be. So I'm just going to do it myself. And that's what Taylor Swift has done from the beginning. She's reclaimed her music. Yes. She's, she is doing things the way she wants them to be done, as is Beyonce. And I think we've watched the media turn on women so often. You look at Stormy Daniels throughout the entire election. The women that were named in the Danny Masterson case. Victim blaming is just part of our media and or society, quite frankly. And it's always turning, when a woman comes forward about a sexual assault, it's immediately the questions are, what did you do? What were you wearing? Mm-hmm. And it's never looking at the other side of that. And I think we're getting to the point now where we're fed up. I mean, and to be fair, we've been fed up for a while, but I think now we're seeing the power. I think we're recognizing our own power.
Yes, and what you began to say about having women rallying behind women. So like the soccer team, or you starting 834, when the entire team is like, no, fuck this, we're not going to do it. That is going to incite change. Or you starting a business and relying on your community of other powerful women instead of men. Like, you know what I mean? We're putting, It's not just words anymore. Like, it's literal action that we can see.
I want to read this quote by Taylor Swift because I absolutely love it. And as soon as I read it, Joey's going to start barking. So I just want to preface that because it's just going to happen. But and I just also want to say I respect Taylor she's a phenomenal artist, but I really respect her as I think more so as a business owner and entrepreneur, just because that's what I can relate to. Mm-hmm. But she said, in the past, I've been reluctant to publicly voice my political opinions, but due to several events in my life and in the world in the past 2 years, I feel differently about that now. I always have and always will cast my vote based on which candidate will protect and fight for the human rights I believe we all deserve in this country. I believe in the fight for LGBTQ rights, and any form of discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender is wrong. I believe that the systemic racism we still see in this country towards people of color is terrifying, sickening, and prevalent. And this, I think, really sums up what we're all feeling. And she said this. She said, 2 years ago, this changed for me. And it's changed for all of us. And now we're seeing these us strong women really coming into our own. And you know what we're saying? Fuck you, imposter syndrome. You don't get to be in this room with us.
Exactly. And I feel like the point we are now is because of everyone who came before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't be able, I feel like Gen Z, a lot of the time people are like, oh, you're so, like, in the workplace, for example. And I'm like, no, that's only because I've seen who came before me and took on their wisdom and grew from that. And I feel like that is exactly what Taylor Swift is doing. She has a song on her Red, Taylor's version, stream it, but it's called The Lucky One, and it talks about, I think it's rumored to be about like Marilyn Monroe or someone, and how like learning from her experience and kind of comparing it to where Taylor is now. And so I think not forgetting the stories of the women who've come before us, but building upon that.
I think I said to you after I finished writing this blog, I said, tell Lena and you, I said, I'm really excited to see what Gen Z does because you are going to blow shit up.
Yes. Because the path has been set. Example A.
Mm-hmm. So I guess in conclusion, hustlers, the future is female, and it's looking very bright because it is. Yes. But I would also like to remind all of you that you have it in you. So speak up, believe in yourself. And this isn't meant to be like, although I do feel like the other day when I was speaking at that national conference, I did give what might be considered a motivational speech. But to see all these really, really strong, powerful women that are rocket scientists, and I can't even tell you who else was in the room, but in making themselves smaller, it pisses me off. And I think like we all have to encourage each other. We all have to like tell each other when we're not strong enough to either stand up for ourselves or to believe in our own power, that you have it in you. And so
let that rage out.
Yep. And we're just getting started.
Period.
Well, that's it. We talked about the power of female rage. This could be a multi-part series, but we'll leave it at that. Period.
And hustlers, we'll catch you on the download.